Aloha and mahalo! Welcome to the BlueNote Fan Report post-game show. Wow, I called it right on the nose. I said 5-1, and that's what it ended up being. Schmaltz ends up getting one that sneaks by Blues defense and goes in, but Tarasenko, I'm telling you, beginning of the season, I talked about this, and I said this guy's going to score 30 goals, 30 to 40 goals. If he's going to score 30, I want him scoring them for us, not somebody else. And that's exactly what he's doing. 3 stars, number 3 star, Mr. Robert Thomas. Pavel Bushnevich. I bet you I know who the first star is. Bushnevich second. Who's going to be number 1? And boy, is this going to be raucous. 2 goals. Vladimir Tarasenko. Got to hear him, what he says to the crowd, baby. What he says to the crowd.
Terrific game on home ice here as the Blues continue their winning streak from the road, and we're joined by the number 1 star of tonight's game, Vladdy Tarasenko. Vladdy, congratulations. You guys got to feel pretty good about this game.
Oh, my goodness. Listen to that crowd.
Yeah, thank you, guys. It was a big game for us. We have a road trip before, so the first game of the homestand, and it was a big thing for us to get a win today.
You know, the second star was Pavel Buchnevich, and the third star was Robert Thomas. And boy, our fans were obviously entertained by your line. Robert Thomas in particular, though, Vladdy, what's the difference between his game now as compared to maybe previous years?
I think he feel more comfortable, more confident. You know, the plays he makes and the way he works, the way he plays, amazing. And
wow, I'm loving this guy. I love Tarasenko, man. And yes, I know. I think sometimes it sounds like I think he can do no wrong, but you know, it is what it is. This here is shocky. I couldn't see it. I put it in the. And Guito is here. Man, I'm just having a little trouble talking today. No, good win by the Blues, right? I'm very impressed with this. Yes, I know that they did not have the greatest of talent with them today. Okay, that's fine. You still got to go out there and play your game. I thought I sent Wendy the link. Maybe I didn't. Sorry, Wendy. I think I sent it somewhere else. Sorry about that. But no, you got to go out there and play the game, and you got to play your game. And Tarasenko did that tonight, right? Tarasenko and the Blues did that. That first 10 minutes, our 20 minutes was kind of rough, but they did the things that they needed to do when they needed to do them. And this is a big 2 points, right? Now you're within 3 of Minnesota with 1 in hand, with 2 games to play. You know, Minnesota's going to lose a game that you're going to win. I'm almost absolutely sure of that. I didn't think he was going to get the shutout. I didn't think he was well tested. He probably should have gotten it, but that last goal, that they gave up, you know, it was just one of them ones where, you know, the Blues just kind of like got a 4-win win. Let's just keep it at that. Right. And that's what happens sometimes, you know, when you get them big wins, them big leads, and that's what happened. Yeah, sometimes. Well, it all depends on how I go live, Saki. If I go, sometimes I remember I'm using a couple of different accounts because of a stalker, and that does change things up a little bit. Wendy, I got to tell you, man, even as a Blackhawks fan, you had to be a little bit impressed with what the Blues did tonight.
I guess.
Oh, come on, make it a blue light. You can make it a blue light tonight.
No.
Well, come on. Your team just lost to this team.
Yeah, they lost because of a terrible penalty called by the refs in overtime that should not have been a penalty.
Right. Well, I didn't see the game, so I honestly don't know. I didn't see it, so I can't say that. But honestly, it was refreshing to see the Blues come out to play to win. Arizona is always a pain in our butt for whatever reason, and they have been. I mean, we were at home. I think it was 0-3-1 in the last 4 games. So to get this win was good. Now, they're playing a minor league roster too, for the most part. I don't even think I heard what Kessel's name called the whole game.
I've noticed last night also Phil Kessel wasn't even noticeable. So
Yeah,
it seemed like I could tell. It seemed like Phil Kessel is just ready to get the hell out of Arizona.
is he a RFA or UFA this year? Or?
Yeah, he's a free agent.
I wonder why they didn't trade him.
Apparently, I don't know what the heck. There was an issue with trades. Apparently, there was a trade involved, but it fell through or something.
Yeah.
They probably were asking way too much for Kessel.
Oh, I'm sure they were. I know how Falk feels. I've had one go off my stick right into someone's, and they buried it. I apologize to Chuck. It does happen, man. And I'm not. Why did Chicago get rid of Schmaltz?
Because he was terrible face-off wise, and he was not producing. And what we got for him was Dylan Strome and Brendan Perlini. Perlini no longer plays with us, but Dylan Strome has been a lot better than Nick Schmaltz when Schmaltz was with the Hawks. I prefer Stromer over Schmaltz.
Well, for you guys next year, you got some big questions to ask. I mean, you still have an interim coach, is that correct?
Correct.
All right, so you've got a coaching search.
Yes.
You need to find unfortunately you need to find that youth coach, a rebuilding coach, and sometimes those guys don't do well with veterans, and veterans take off. And I mean, you guys, for being as what I thought was close, guys are in. I mean, you say 3 to 4 years. I hope so, but I can see it taking a little bit longer.
They have pieces that are young and starting to show, like Alex DeBrincat. He is going to be the future of this team. He's going to be a player to threat 50 goals a season each and every year. Maybe not this year because he's, I think, one shy from 40, so he's probably not going to hit the 50 since he did miss some time due to COVID. But we have some pieces on this team that they can build around, like DeBrincat, like Strome, like the 2 Doc brothers.
Yeah,
they have pieces. They're just needing to find that next player to be a franchise-changing player. If they end up in the draft lottery next year, which it's likely they will be, they have a chance to draft Connor Bedard, who's supposed to be the top prospect since Connor McDavid.
So you're thinking that's if they win the draft lottery?
Yes.
That draft lottery thing you sent me?
Yeah.
I ran it 200 times. Chicago won it once.
Well, this year I don't care if we get it because this year the first overall pick's not a hit.
Yeah, and a lot of people get enamored with that first overall pick guy and Winnie, but how many times do we see players from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th rounds, 7th round, 6th rounds? I know it gets more rare the older you get.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, if you look in the NHL right now and take over the past 10 years, I started to do this over about the past 6, 7 years and got real far on it.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked at how many guys that were taken in the first round, especially the top 10, that either never made it in the NHL or have very minor roles with teams, or they're just a guy that scores 10 to 14 goals a year, which, hey, every team needs guys like that on the third and fourth line. But I think you can get really good value in the early second round, third, fourth round. And like you said, Connor Bedard's a good player. He's a very good player. And whoever gets him is going to get somebody that's pretty dang good. And, I know there's some teams that are kind of stepping off him a little bit. I'm not going to say he's going to be McDavid, because McDavid's one of those guys that comes around every 8 to 12 years, if that. So, but if the Blackhawks could get him, I'm definitely with Wendy on this one. They could really change things over quickly. They've got good team speed. My only question with them in my mind is goaltending, and some of these young guys starting to step up, but they've got the foundation there. And I know a lot of Blackhawks fans don't want to move Taves or Kane. Eventually they're going to have to, and they've got to let some of these younger guys come up. And you know what? There are teams out there that will still give the Blackhawks some good players and some good draft picks for those two guys. I wouldn't trade both of them. I wouldn't trade both of them, Wendy, but I would definitely see which one you could get the most for and move on. I think Taves is the one that's fallen apart quicker, and it's sad because of his health. But I think they can get some good players, and they could be good in just a couple years.
I think Taves would probably retire instead of going somewhere else.
I honestly am seeing. I'm on the side where I think Taves retires once his contract's up.
Yeah, could be. Is he 35 or 34?
He's going to be 35.
35. Okay.
Right.
And you know what? Hey, it sucks getting old, because I can remember when he was drafted, and it just seems like yesterday.
I wonder how much our prospects, or how our future would have changed had we drafted Taves #1 overall instead of Johnson.
Well, that would have been your captain.
Yep.
Maybe. I don't know if Taves. I wonder. I mean, Taves is good and all, but I wonder, is he the style of play? Would he have been the same player on the Blues with Hitchcock, or the guys, the coaches that we had back then? Because we had some really bad coaches before we got Hitchcock. Would he have been
I think Jonathan Taves. I think Jonathan Taves, no matter what team he goes on, he's just got he had that talent, and was just a great vision, great hands. Can skate fluidly, just an all-around, 3-4 tool guy. And people sometimes give him hell for his defensive play, but he's not as bad as people think he is. And when it comes to defense, he's pretty good with defensively.
He's a winner.
Yeah. He's, but I think he'd have been good on the Blues. Would he have been as dynamic under a defensive system like Hitchcock's? I don't know, but I think Jonathan Taves is one of those players that's going to do what he does, no matter where he is, or no matter where he is or where he goes.
So we had. Now I'm not great with my coaches, so I know after we got rid of Coach Q, we had Kitchen.
Yep, Mike Kitchen.
And I'm not sure who we had after Kitchen.
Don't forget Davis Payne.
Payne was in there. I think Payne was after Kitchen, right? And
don't forget. God, I can picture his face, and I can't remember his name. I can picture him behind the bench. Yeah. He was a very boring coach, more boring than Kitchen was. Yeah. And the Blues played pretty good underneath him for about half the season. But I just, like I said, I think there's just some players that are good no matter where they go.
Right.
A lot of people don't realize
wasn't Keenan.
Coach Q was not Jonathan Taves' first head coach.
No, he wasn't. Nope.
It was Dennis Savard.
Yep, Denny Savard. Yep.
And well, what he got Q right after that, though, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So a year after his rookie season.
Yep. Yeah. He was there for a year.
Yeah. So my biggest concern has been with the Blues is they've really never. So when we had all those draft picks, right? I mean, we got lucky. We really got lucky that with Hitchcock that those guys developed. I mean, we had character guys. If we did not have really solid character guys, those guys that we drafted don't develop, right? Tarasenko, Shin, Pietrangelo, Perron. And look at Perron. Perron they got rid of a couple of times.
Well,
right?
you didn't draft Shin.
Yeah, but he was right Shin wasn't Shin drafted? Oh no, Schwartz who was drafted with Tarasenko, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. Shin was right behind him though, right in that period.
Well, you got to look. You got to look at how good this team is. I mean, they've drafted well. You had Oshie, you had Perron, and I just really wish that Perron could have grown into the player he is today when he was younger, when he had more speed and was more. He's grown into a very good two-way player now.
Yeah.
But they drafted Pietrangelo, and I know a lot of people don't like Eric Johnson. Eric Johnson wasn't worthy of a number one pick. I thought he'd go fourth or fifth. Yeah. But Eric Johnson has been a good, solid defenseman. Worthy of a number one pick? No, he's not. But the Blues have drafted pretty well. The only thing that frustrates me sometimes is you look at Armstrong's draft. He's drafted pretty good, but a lot of that good draft was under Bill Armstrong. Billy Armstrong made a lot of those draft picks.
Yeah. Hey, I want to address this comment, right?
Yep. Go ahead.
Because this is a misnomer, and I want to put it out there. It says, "How are you guys? Great game tonight. Hey, the boys didn't take the Coyotes lightly as they've done with some of the league's bottom feeders." That is a misnomer, right? The Blues against the bottom 10 teams are playing 630 hockey.
Yeah, was it 636 or 638?
Yes, right now, I don't know exactly what it was. I'm counting what's happened in the last couple of games. But the last time I seen it, when they lost that one game to a bottom team, and it came out, here's the Blues thing, and it came up that they had 24 of 40 points, and it was like 625, and they were playing 630 hockey at the time, right? Because of that, it's the impression is that they're losing to them. No, not Edmonton, Kenny. It was before that.
Not even a bottom feeder.
Yeah,
Edmonton's a good team.
They're no longer a bottom feeder.
Yeah, it was the game before. It was the game before Vancouver. I want to say, who do we play before Vancouver?
Was that Philadelphia?
Might have been Philadelphia, the Philadelphia game, right? That's the one when we came out and played really bad. But there's this misnomer that the Blues just play horrible against the bottom teams, and they don't. They actually play even against the bottom teams as they play against everybody else. And
I think what gets a lot of people, and you and I see it, Guy, in a lot of these games, look at tonight's first period. Did the Blues play terrible? No. Did they play great? No. Did they play like they were 30 points ahead of the Coyotes in the standings? No. But they have bad spots against bad teams, but every team does that. Yeah. The Blues at the beginning of the year lost a few close games to some teams that weren't supposed to be good. So I think that's the misnomer a lot of people get. But like you said, they're playing very well against the bottom feeder teams. And you know what? To get into the playoffs and have success, those are the teams you have to beat. And you got to be competitive and good against the good teams.
Yeah, it's just kind of a misnomer when you see it. Everyone thinks that they have a bad game against it, but they don't realize that, like, Colorado lost to Phoenix and Seattle in back-to-back nights.
Yep, they did.
Right? Or it might not have been, but it was another. I
think it was 2 out of 3 nights.
Yeah. But it was something like that. There was you're gonna lose to them, bud, and that's the thing. You can't win all. You can't always beat the teams that are ahead of you. These are professionals, and this is what I talk about when I say everyone thinks that the difference between the bottom team and the top team is like this.
No,
and this is under an electron microscope. In all actuality, it's this. There is no difference between those teams.
I'm going to tell you the difference between the Blues and the bad teams.
Yeah.
And I hate to use Chicago as an example because I think they got some talent there.
Yeah.
Is that Chicago's getting a little bit older. They got some young guys coming up, and it happens to every team that wins Stanley Cups. Mm-hmm. They got to lose some of the guys, and the guys rotate. But the difference between winning and losing is very, very minute in this league.
Yeah. Well, here's my thing. If we took O'Reilly and say Perron and put them on Chicago and took 2 of their young guys off and put them on St. Louis, I think that these teams flip-flop.
I don't think so.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I think Chicago's got some good young talent, but I think that
I'm telling you, you put Perron and O'Reilly on Chicago, and they're in the playoffs.
I will tell you this: if you put Perron, O'Reilly, and Thomas on Chicago,
2, not 3.
No, I know, but I'm saying then I think you're closer on what you're saying there, guy. I think Perron and O'Reilly would make Chicago better.
Yeah.
But would they make them good enough to make the playoffs? I think Wendy would agree with me. I don't see it.
I don't see it either because, I mean, the Hawks basically were running something similar for the last 2 years, and it completely failed from there. They had players like Perron and O'Reilly, and what happened? They didn't make the playoffs. They basically would be on a fringe team. They weren't close enough to make the playoffs.
And I will say this, guy, I think if you take O'Reilly and Perron and put them on a team that's on the cusp, that makes that team a Stanley Cup contender. It makes them a much better team. If you take a team,
with that, but it's just like what I'm saying is, and even Jason says this. My pregame show, I literally said that the Blues played down the team's narrative, because that's what the narrative is. But it's not, and I don't mind Kennedy bringing it up. You're more than welcome to bring up anything you want, any topic you want that's hockey related. You're welcome to bring it up. And again, my job is to educate. And you may not like how I educate you. Did you like all your teachers in school? Probably not. Right? And their job was to educate you. My job is to sit there and say, look, this is what I think, and this is what I'm backing it up with. Right? And that's why I think that the narrative is that the Blues play shitty to shitty teams when it's not. And the eye test fails you there.
Yeah, there's so many different narratives in this league. It's like a lot of people will think the Blackhawks are a terrible team. No, they're not terrible. They've got some guys that are getting older, and they've got young guys that haven't matured enough to play the game they need to play to win. And that's the way it is with a lot of the lower teams.
Right? They don't have a defense. If they had any bit of defense with Fleury and net, they'd have been challenging for that 5th playoff spot.
Well, I've watched probably not a lot, but maybe 20, 25 Blackhawks games this year. I try to watch at least 1 or 2 a week. And I will tell you this, if not for Fleury, their record would be a lot worse.
It would be because Kevin Lakinen's terrible.
Yep.
And
what are you guys going to do? You think is there somebody, and I haven't looked at your farm system, is there somebody in the AHL that can come in and at least challenge for a spot?
Look at this. Matt Lowe's getting me.
Ready.
Apparently, I talk down to people and make them feel terrible. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't ever mean to do that.
Hey, guy. Yeah. I get accused of that all the time because I'm opinionated. Yeah. I respect everybody's opinion. If you don't know the game and I think you're wrong, I'm not going to say, hey, you're an idiot, you're wrong. I'm going to say, well, here's why it's different. And if you disagree with me, disagree with me. I don't think you talk down to people.
No, I don't. I try not to talk down to people. I just, Kenny, I know Kenny's Australian. I know Kenny's, not from the U.S. I knew that, but okay. Sorry, Matt Lowe. Sometimes I take things seriously. I appreciate that you came back and said it's a joke. So I appreciate that. And that makes me feel a lot better. But, what I was trying to get at was there are things that people see. There are some writers within the community that will put things out there because that's what they think the fans think. And people
and the fans believe it. Yep, the fans believe it.
But what it does is it solidifies the fans' belief. Oh, see, this is what I think, and since so and so is writing about it, it must be true.
Yep.
Right, and that's the problem. It's quicksand, right? And I try to avoid that. Oh, these guys know me too well. Tonight, that gap was wider than usual because of Keller. And you're right, with Keller being out, that had a lot to do with it because Keller.
Yeah, he makes a big difference. And right. I know I didn't get to come on after the second intermission, but if you watch the Blues play just 10 minutes in the first period, and then you watch them play for the 10 minutes in the second period, you wouldn't think it was the same team. Looked like a total. and what they do, Wendy, they kept putting shots on goal because in the first period, they didn't have that many. People get upset. Well, this is a bad team they beat. And I hear people say that about Huso. A win's a win. I don't care if you win 6-5, if you win 5-4 and you're in net, you won the game. Is your goals against great? Maybe not. But, you know, a win's a win. You get 2 points for it. They don't look at you and go, well, you know, I'm sorry, but Vancouver, they're bad, so we're going to give you 1.5 points. It's not the way the league works. You've got to play. Any team can beat any team on any night. I don't care how bad you are.
So here's the difference, Lance, and it's not what you think. So in the first period, the Blues took 10 shots, right? And they had some good shots. They did. They got some posts. They, a couple misses, got some posts, things like that. In the second, they only had 14 shots. They had 4 more shots. The difference is they scored 4 goals on those extra 4 shots.
Yeah, and the also difference is they were getting guys in front of the net, and they were able to skate in front of the net and get some good open shots. That was the difference between the first and second periods in my mind.
Yeah. By the way, Matt Lowe wants me to go on a 15-minute talk that's about the neutral zone, so we might have to do that here in a little bit. Is he trying to
insinuate something?
Yep, he is. We look good, but we were playing a badly injured rookie team. Yes, Lance is right. A win is a win. To say this, I say there's good wins, there's good losses, there's bad wins, there's bad losses, right? This is one of those that's in between a good win and a bad win, right? I mean, you basically you go out there and you did what you were supposed to do, and you clobbered them, but you could have done it a lot sooner. You could have took them out of the game before. You could have done that in the first, right?
And see, you and I will disagree on that since I played the game.
Yeah.
Being in goal and giving up 2 goals and losing 2-1. Yeah. I know I did my job, but it still sucks. Going in
right. But if you lose a game 2-1, right? That's a good loss to me. Well, it depends. If you
I can understand it. I can understand it from your standpoint, but I tell you right now,
to the Avalanche 2-1, that's a good loss.
I'll disagree with you.
That's a team averaging almost 4 goals a game, and you only gave up 2 to them.
Yeah, but I'm telling you,
the reason you lost that game was you not scoring your goals.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, Guy, if you find an NHL player that feels that way, he's not in the NHL very long. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I do see good things in losses. I really do. Because if your goalie gives up 2 goals and was solid, that's a good thing. You can look forward to him playing well. If your star players really showed up, but the other team was just playing great, that's a good thing. And I think that's what you're getting at. There's good things in losses. There's good things in wins. There's bad things in wins. There's bad things in losses.
I'm easier on the Blues in a loss than I am in a win.
I think you are actually.
I'm harder on them in a win than I am in a loss. But it's because the reason I'm harder on them in wins than I am in losses because I expect them to win.
Yeah.
I expect them to win. When they lose, I know they're going to lose. I know they're not going 82-0.
Yeah.
Right? The best the team's ever done is 62 wins, and that was a tie last season or 2 seasons ago.
I think it was 61 or 62.
62 wins. I think that Tampa Bay and the Detroit Red Wings each have 62 wins.
Yeah.
Can I say something real quick before I forget? I wanted to bring it up before the game. I want to give kudos to the Kraken fans. Yeah. The Seattle Kraken fans got this team. They've embraced them, and they're a bad team. And they didn't have the same rules that the Golden Knights had. They just didn't.
It's not even
they
that.
They had the same rules, but there
was one change to the
direction.
Yeah,
it was different. The Knights approached it by, we're going to find guys nobody else wants, and we're going to keep them here. The Kraken's view was, we're going to get young players and have a couple older guys, and we're going to build on it. That's what but you know what? Their fans are behind them, and I just want to say, if there's any Kraken fans out there, you guys are great. I've watched several of your games, and it's just awesome to see a fan base behind a team that's not good.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
They're doing something that I think Vegas has made a mistake on.
Yep.
They are teaching their fans to lose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? They are absolutely, and I know that sounds really weird, but they are. They're teaching their fans to lose. And it's also part of that narrative, that Tarasenko narrative, that gets skewed. Everyone says, everyone wants to go that Tarasenko got left, quote unquote, unprotected because of the Blues trying to get rid of him and all of this. The reason Tarasenko got left unprotected is because they knew they were if they left Barbashev unprotected, they were going to lose Barbashev, and they would have rather lost Dunn.
And they also
right?
knew that the GM and his name
was
escapes
going
me,
youth and not
was going youth, and he had said they may have a player or two that make $5-6 million a year, but they are not going to go for a guy making $7-8 million a year. It's just like Carey Price and NHL Network, and they all blew it up. Carey Price has been unprotected. The Kraken, we all knew. Wendy knew. You knew. There's no way the Kraken were going to take Carey Price.
It would have been cool to see it happen, but I knew it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. This is what the GM and I give credit to every single GM that figured this out.
Yep.
Right? Every single GM that was smart enough to figure out what direction the Krakens were going, and that, making the phone calls, making the relationships, talking to agents, whatever it was, they figured out very quickly and very smartly that was the direction that they were going, and they protected guys that they could have lost. I'll tell you what, had they protected Tarasenko and we lost Barbashev, I'd have been pissed. Absolutely pissed.
If Barbashev would have been available, there's no way they take Vince Dunn. They take Barbashev over Vince Dunn in a heartbeat. The only reason they took Vince Dunn, he was there. He's a young defenseman. He doesn't make much money. That's why they took Vince Dunn.
Exactly, and that's what Barbashev would have been.
Yep.
Right, and that is why I think that, again, you have to pay attention to the narrative, right? And I get told this a lot, and I try and live this. I'm very, very careful about what you see on the surface, because there's so much undercurrent that scores and changes what you see on the surface. On the surface, it looked like that was a trade issue move, right? And it wasn't. It never was. I think all along they understood that this was not going to happen, right? That they were not going to take Tarasenko, but they were looking at Barbashev, that they were scouting Barbashev, that they were hard on Barbashev, and between Barbashev and Dunn, I'm taking Barbashev all day long.
Well, yeah, and like you said, a lot of people thought because of the issues with Tarasenko, that's why he was left unprotected. I was told by my Blues insider in January that they were going to leave Tarasenko unprotected because they knew Seattle wasn't going to take him.
Yeah, right. It came up, and not only that, I've asked, and I don't have great sources. Tarasenko's name never came up this season. Never came up. They may have gotten some calls.
They did get calls,
but basically it was maybe, what are you offering? And every single one of was not interested. Right?
Yeah, right. So far this season, the Blues have taken calls, but Doug Armstrong has not called anybody saying, you had some interest 2 months ago for Tarasenko. He's available now. No, they were taking calls because as a GM, you've got to take a call, no matter how ridiculous it is.
I take the call. The call.
You got to.
Right? I take the call and listen, because you know what? Let's put it this way. Let's say that he got a McDavid-style trade, right? A first this year, a first next year, this first rounder, and this prospect. 5 players for Tarasenko. I'm doing it. And I love Tarasenko. I wouldn't let him go for nothing. But if I could get 5 first-rounders, I'm doing it.
No team's trading 5 first-round picks for Tarasenko.
I was gonna let you say that, Wendy.
No team's trading 5 first-round picks for Tarasenko.
No, but because the Islanders offered a first and 1 existing player, is what they offered.
It's not even close.
And Armstrong wanted a first, an existing player, and either a prospect or another pick. Is what he wanted.
And to me, that's still not enough. If you're going to get 5 players, if you're going to give up 5 players for O'Reilly, you're going to get 5 players for Tarasenko.
I don't think you will right now. I'm with Wendy. I think you could get.
That's what you're going to get, but that's what you should be asking for.
Oh yeah, you can ask for the moon.
But though they traded Brandon Hagel, someone who was drafted in the 6th round by Buffalo, and got cut by Buffalo, went to Montreal, got cut by them, signed with the Hawks, and we managed to come out with 2 first-round picks, Taylor Radish and Boris Kachuk. And that's just something that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
What Tarasenko asking price would probably be, they would be wanting something what the Hawks got for Brandon Hagel.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think the only thing against Tarasenko as opposed to Hagel's young and kind of up and coming and played much better with the Blackhawks than he did before that. And he's cheap. What is he making? $1.5 million for 3 more years?
1.25 for 2 years.
2 years, okay. And Tarasenko's what now? 33?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the difference. If Tarasenko was 24, 25 and it had 3 or 4 good years, I think you could get 5 pieces. But I think with the way his age is now, I think you get 3 pieces. Should you ask for more? Hell yeah, you should ask for more.
Oh, there you go, right? Wendy, do you think Hagel will turn out to be anything, though? I mean,
yes,
he looks good, but
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Hagel is he's a workhorse. He does.
He's got a high motor.
You tell him to do. You can put him on the 4th line, and he will go for the puck. You could put him on the 1st line. He can take the puck in and throw it on net, get it past the netminder. You could put him in any position in the game, and he will be battling for that puck. And he has one of the best defensive-minded games that people don't see in it, and it's ridiculous because Brandon Hagel, yes, he's young. Last year was his rookie season. He made his debut like 10 games into the regular season last year, and then came in this year. Now he's a lethal goal scorer with a great defensive game.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he's got Ryan O'Reilly's skill set, but he's that kind of guy that plays a 2-way game. He's got a high motor. He's always involved in the play, and he's grown up a little bit over the last year and a half or so, and he's starting to get that scoring touch. And those type of guys are hard to find.
Yeah, and
you think O'Reilly's up for the Lady Byng this year, this
season? Maybe. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he was nominated for it.
Right. Blues could end up having nine 20-goal scorers. Right. Kenny, it's 5 p.m. here in St. Louis, or in Hawaii. It is 10 p.m. in St. Louis, so in that central time zone where some of these guys
don't forget
are.
It's 10 p.m. in Chicago too. We can't leave Wendy out of there. So.
Yeah, well,
no, I'm in.
Wendy's actually in Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, what city are you in?
Offline.
Yeah, it's off. That will be off stream.
Yeah, that's something he doesn't want put out.
No, I didn't want you to tell me now when it's later on.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect you to blurt that out now.
Yeah.
I was just letting you know I wanted to know.
Yeah. No, me and Wendy had a conversation about this about a year and a half ago, and I've been very, very protective of Wendy since that conversation. Correct, Wendy?
Yeah.
Right. So I'm very, very, like, if it pops up in here, I slam it down.
Yep.
Right. I slam it down. I don't even let Wendy answer it. I slam it down.
Yeah. No, I'm not that stupid to expect him to answer that on here. I just wanted to ask him for future reference, like you could tell me afterwards.
Yeah. After stream.
Yeah. No, I could see two 30-goal scores. I think
I could. Yep.
Right. I think Tarasenko's gonna get the 30.
What is he at? 26?
He's at 25.
25.
Right. He's going to get 5 between now in the last 13 games, right? I see that. He's going to get 5, and right now he's dialed in too, right? He's getting some really, really good looks. He's getting some really good shots. He's getting slot presence, and that's something that's something he wasn't getting at the beginning of the year.
Nope.
That he's now getting, and it's starting to pay dividends. And also, he has an Adam Oates with him. Right, Thomas is a version of a poor man's version of Adam Oates to me.
And when his contract's up, it ain't going to be a poor man's version.
Yeah, no, it's not, and he's earned it.
Yeah.
Right. I live in a place called Earth. Golf
I
game.
think everyone does.
Right? Yeah. No, I don't know what. No, there's my stalker lives on planet. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'm not going to go any further than that. Bush is 24. Buchnevich is going to be around for a while, and he has. Now, there's the surprise of the season.
Well, I didn't think he would be as good as he is, but I knew he'd be good. And my question is, I know the Rangers really couldn't afford him. You know, they couldn't afford to re-sign him.
Yeah.
But here's my question. How bad does it look that basically all they got was Sammy Blais? And I love Sammy Blais because he's a high motor guy, can hit, can get physical. But my goodness, that's another Doug Armstrong ripoff on another team.
No. Armstrong had two amazing.
Terrible for the Rangers.
Yeah.
Armstrong had two amazing trades this season. And I called one of them major, and I got told no, it wasn't. I thought it was the Brown trade. I'll tell you what, the majority of people would have taken a 4th-round pick for Sanford straight up, right? Would have absolutely taken a 4th-round pick for Sanford straight up. Not only did you get the 4th-round pick, kinda, but you got Brown, and Brown, who they thought would be a player next year, has proven his worth this season. I look forward to
Brown's
Brown
definitely
next season.
Brown's a depth guy, and the mistake that they made, the big mistake that Ottawa made, they let it be known that they didn't want Brown. And you can't do that because other teams are going to pick up on that and say, "Oh, I want Logan Brown in a 4th-round pick or a 3rd-round pick, whatever." And they're going to go, "All we got to give up is a 3rd or 4th-round pick," because they don't even think of Logan Brown as being their type of player.
Right? Oh, I'm getting called a hockey guru now.
I would just say this. When the Rangers traded Buchnevich, I was like, why the heck are they trading him? He had great chemistry with Artemi Panarin
he did.
because Zibanejad. They could have had a lethal line in that setup with Zibanejad, Buchnevich, and Panarin. Mm-hmm. Why mess that up? And then they traded him for nothing, basically, because Blais hasn't played all until October?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He got it. He got his leg broke.
Yeah. He
tore. You can't sit there and count an injury because you don't know an injury is going to happen. But
Blais is not worth Buchnevich. I was even saying people ask me, why do you think this was a robbery from St. Louis? I was saying Buchnevich is a lethal goal scorer when he's in the right system.
That's right.
It's ridiculous how people didn't see it with the Rangers. He's that good. When he was the Rangers, I thought this guy's going to develop into a top-notch goal scorer.
Yep.
And I don't understand how people didn't see it, and look what he's doing.
They, Wendy, they didn't want to pay him, number one.
Yeah.
And I heard people saying, well, he's going to want this much and he's not worth it. He's only worth $3 to $3.5 million a year. And like I said, I'm shocked he's doing as well as he is. I thought he'd be good, but I didn't think he'd be this good. And like you said, he's another guy that is all over the ice. You very rarely see him slow down that much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for me, when we got Buchnevich, first of all, I was a little concerned about giving up Blais. Be honest, right? And the reason was speed. You don't want to give up speed, especially since the Blues didn't have a lot of it. Blais had speed. Well, we gave it up, and I'm thinking, oh no, here we go getting another one of these big bodies and that's not going to help us. However, what Buchnevich has done on the with the puck and the penalty kill, oh my goodness, he's elevated that penalty kill.
Yeah.
My biggest concern about the trade of Leddy was Sundqvist. I thought losing Sundqvist was going to really hurt the penalty kill.
Yep.
Buchnevich is taking that extra responsibility on himself. Yep. No one asked him to, but he's done it.
Guy and Wendy, I don't remember. I watch a lot of Rangers games. I can't remember him playing the penalty kill there. Do you remember it, Wendy, or do you remember it, Guy?
Well, I thought he did, but I don't think.
I thought he did, but I didn't think. I thought he did a little bit, but I didn't think it was as much as he plays with the Blues.
The previous coach with the Rangers really didn't utilize him in the play he is. Here's a player I can compare Buchnevich to that just popped in my head. It's Marian Hosa's style of play that he does.
Good comparison. Very good comparison.
Right.
Yep.
Hosa had a goal scoring touch. He did it more with Atlanta, Pittsburgh, and Ottawa. When he went to Detroit, he learned the defensive side of the game under Pavel Datsyuk.
Yep.
So out of 40-goal season in Detroit, came to Chicago. He became that lethal PK two-way forward, one of the best two-way forwards in the league.
Yeah, he definitely was.
Goals.
Yep.
No, and you know what? This is another thing. New York wants to play Panarin, and that's why they probably couldn't have afforded Buch. Mm-hmm. But Buch didn't cost the Blues that much. I think he's got a $4.5 million extension or something like that for. I thought
it was 5.5 for 3 years.
5.5, but it's worth it. I mean, I think he's already earned it.
Oh
right?
yeah,
right.
Hey, anytime you can get a 20+ goal scorer, and you only have to pay him around $5 million. Plus, he's great defensively.
Yep.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I think Letty may stay in St. Louis for less money. I think it's a possibility, and you gotta. He's not going to get. So he was getting 5 there. We're paying him 2.5. So there's cap's only going up $1 million. So we really only have about $3.5 million to play with. I don't know if he would sign for that, but I could see him staying in St. Louis possibly.
I really think Letty goes back to the Islanders.
Yep.
That's one rule I wish they should have implemented, the Keith Tkachuk rule, right? Because I think the Blues traded Tkachuk twice and he came back and signed the next season for a 1-year deal both times. So that is one rule I thought that they should have instituted, but they haven't. So he can do that. Sonny provided more than just a PK with his injuries, though. I don't see him sticking around for long. Sonny's injuries aren't to me. I think that you're adding you're making a mountain out of a molehill, right?
Well, his injuries, the reason he gets injured off is because of the style of game he plays.
Yeah.
It's because he's all over the ice, he's in your face, and he's going to take some hits. He's going to take some bad hits because of the way he plays. And if he can minimize those, it's in my mind, he's a good third line guy, that can step up. And if you need him to come up on the second line or first line occasionally, he can do that. I definitely think Detroit got the better part of the deal. And I definitely think that they did this way just so they didn't trade Sundqvist somewhere else to where, he couldn't thrive. But I watched him in a couple games and he looks very good with Detroit.
Yeah. I would say that was a typical Steve Yzerman trade.
It was, yep.
Yeah.
He did that all the time down in Tampa, if we remember.
Look at Tampa. He built the Stanley Cup winner.
Yep.
People may not consider him as a guy who built that team.
He did.
He did.
Built it for sure.
Built it.
I feel like he should have got his name on the cup at least one of the 2 times because
I don't think he got his name on the cup, but I think they gave him a ring.
They probably gave him a ring, but look, the Hawks put Dale Talon's name on the cup in
they did.
2010, and Dale Talon was already in Florida at the time.
Yep.
Well, I mean, when it comes to cups, so what the one thing that the Blues did that I did not like at all was not putting Bobby Plager's name on that cup.
I don't think was he even part of the front office?
Yes, he was. He worked in the PR department. He was an ambassador to the team.
Public relations.
He was a paid member of the team. He was paid to go to work every day.
Okay. I didn't know if he was front office or not.
No, he was. At his funeral, the guy, and I can't think of his name now, it slips me, the Blues head of PR now, media relations.
Chris Kerber?
No, not Kerber. The guy that works for Kerber.
Okay.
His name's on the tip of my tongue.
I know. I've emailed him a few times. I can't think of his name either.
Yeah, but he he talked about how Bobby would come into the office and all of that, and sometimes 9 o'clock was 10 o'clock for Bobby or something like that. But Bobby knew what Bobby was doing, right? Mm-hmm. And there's very few guys that are going to, especially of his stature, that are going to sit outside of the main gate before a game and just wave at people and shake their hands and meet them and things like that. So Bobby's name needed to be on that cup. And I really wish they would go back and appeal to the NHL to put his name on the cup.
I think if the Blues would have pushed it enough back then, I think they could have got it on. The NHL, from what I'm told, is afraid that if they let one team put a person or two that's normally not on there, then they're going to start getting all these requests and it's going to be a mess. Well, you know what you do? You let one person do it. You do it on a case-by-case basis. Just because one person gets on there. Yeah. Just because Bobby gets on there doesn't mean that every other team gets to do it. You do it on a case. Because Bobby's not just been good for the Blues. Bobby's a full NHL ambassador type of a guy.
And actually, that's why I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame. He did more for hockey in the Midwest than any one person you can ever find. You find me somebody else in the Midwest. In fact, you have teams in Columbus, in Nashville, and in Dallas because of Bobby.
Mm-hmm.
And even Minnesota because of Bobby. Right? You can add Bobby Hull to that, and you can add a few other, some of the Chicago Blackhawks. I don't remember all of your guys, your top-notch guys like Stan Mikita and the goalie that just passed away recently, Esposito and that. But those guys staying in these cities, right, is what built hockey in the Midwest. This is why there are teams in the places they are, and it's why there was an Atlanta Flames.
If you want my opinion too, another guy, and I know Blues fans are going to hate this, the Blackhawks owner. If it wasn't for him, there would be no St. Louis Blues.
Yep, absolutely. Bill Wirtz, or was it Bill Wirtz or was it the other Wirtz?
It was the other one.
It was Arthur at the time.
Yep.
Yeah, Arthur Wirtz. Yep.
Well, yeah, if it wasn't for him, there'd be no St. Louis Blues.
Absolutely right.
Hey, Wendy, I was going to give you. I was on the other night and didn't get my thoughts on it. We were talking about which jersey you should wear.
Yeah.
Ashley was on. Wear the black one with no hat. That's my opinion.
I wore the black jersey, actually.
Yeah. Good.
He went to the Silver Stick ceremony.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I did.
Right, he got to go to that. And I love that he did. And I love
That's
Wendy.
awesome.
I love Wendy. I like the fact that the way this show is that we can bring on other fans from other teams and talk respectively and talk about games, win or lose, and even rivalries, and be able to just talk hockey and not you're an idiot or you're, talk down to them or any of that, but enjoy what they bring.
There's the Twitter link from it.
Is this from
the game last night?
Oh, from the game last night? Okay. Oh, okay.
I actually made it on the scoreboard with one of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
cool.
There we go. Hold on a second there, Wendy. Wrong one. Give me a second, Wendy, and I'll take care of you, my friend.
Yep.
No, I just want you to know, Wendy, what you've done, with this show and our friendship. I greatly appreciate you, and I can't say thank you enough, and I mean that. I can never say thank you enough. This is Wendy's Twitter page, and he got some stuff done from up there last night at the game.
Awesome.
Right. I wanted to show it for them.
Big C, with the C I'm standing, I actually made it onto the scoreboard last night.
That's cool, Wendy. I mean, that's really cool. Maddie C, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I love that too. I like learning more about other teams. I'm a dedicated Blues fan, but I love hockey in general. And that's something that I've been trying to do. That's been the one thing, my one goal is to turn Blues fans into hockey fans. Right. And I know that sounds weird, but there's a lot of Blues fans, and I had a lot of them that would tell me, oh, I only pay attention to the Blues. And I kept saying, you can't do that. You have to understand the other players in the league. You have to understand the other teams. You have to understand what they do, because if you don't, you don't understand what you're watching. You can't really, you want to soak it in. You want to bring it into your knowledge base and expand that knowledge base. And that is like the biggest thing for me that you could ever do, is to expand that knowledge base.
I'll say this: the Pat Foley 333 is getting worn on the 14th to the United Center.
Yeah,
Awesome.
That's his
Right.
final game.
Yeah.
They're doing a retirement ceremony before the game.
Are they going to put his name up in the rafters?
I don't know about that. I really hope they do because Pat Foley is the Blackhawks. If you ask any Blackhawk fan, what's the first thing you think of when it comes to watching a Blackhawk game or just a Blackhawk, the Blackhawks in general? One of the first things they say, Pat Foley on the call.
Yeah. No, and it's some of the great announcers in of the games and of the times that have made hockey what it is, you know. And I can't name all of them, and I'm not going to remember all their names, but you got Pat Foley in Chicago, you had Dan Kelly in St. Louis, you have
in Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo, you had the one, and I can't remember his name, from Pittsburgh. Grandma, you better get ready.
God, I did not like him.
I can't think of his name either.
Yeah,
I did not like his.
Get out of the fast game. The bingo game's starting or something like that. You know, guys like that made hockey fun to hear, right, and fun to watch, and they raised the awareness of what this game was and how much fun it was. He was in that movie Sudden Death with Jean-Claude Van Damme, right? They used him in that movie, and it was so good to me that movie really lifted up Pittsburgh and what they were, and it lifted up hockey to me. It absolutely lifted up hockey to me, and I loved it. Holy jumping. You talk about Darren Pang, what Darren Pang's meant to hockey, right? Those guys, I love it. I love what they've meant to hockey. I love what they've done to the game. I started watching Blues about 85. The Pens run in NHL 94 made me a hockey fan. Yeah, I can see that. 80. We had another announcer that does not get near enough credit for what he did.
Ken Wilson.
Yep. Ken Wilson was an amazing hockey announcer.
Oh, baby.
Yes. I've met him a couple of times. He was an amazing hockey announcer. You could close your eyes and picture what he was talking about. Right? You could just see it. He made it. He made the game visible on the radio, and I absolutely loved Ken Wilson. And even now, I love Chris Kerber, and I really love Kerber with Kelly Chase. I thought that they had a really, really good, and don't take this the wrong way, love affair with each other. Right?
Yeah, they had good chemistry. It was a good back and forth, and it's like it's kind of like when you play the game with somebody for years. You get to know what to expect from them. You know when to talk. You know when to shut up and let them talk. There's nobody talking over each other. It was really, really fun to listen to them.
One thing I'm looking forward for this week is the fact the Hawks are bringing back Dale Talon for one game to do it with Pat Foley, because before Eddie Olczyk, it was Pat Foley and Dale Talon on the call, and they had some memorable moments calling games, especially one time when they were playing the Ottawa Senators. Someone took a shot block right to the where you don't want to be hit.
The Gibleys?
Pat Foley called it the weenie block. And then Dale Talon was just cracking up about it. So I'm hoping we see some old chemistry between them. But Pat Foley and Eddie Olczyk on the call is my form of Blackhawks hockey, because that's why I really got started with, because Pat Foley and Eddie Olczyk calling Blackhawk games is how it's been for
a long time.
2008 when Pat Foley returned to the booth.
You know what, Maddie? See, that's something that I would not mind doing that. We could do an episode maybe next week, because I'm booked this week. And I'd have to watch the movie again. I haven't seen it in a long time. I'd have to go rent it and watch it again. But I love Sudden Death. I thought that was a great movie, to be honest, right?
I've never seen it.
It was a non-hockey movie. right?
I just know the Pittsburgh Penguins mascot was in it, and that's about
Yes.
it.
Yes, it was, and it was very sad what happens to that mascot. Right? I cried.
Wasn't the game that was taking place, though, it was filmed during an actual game that took place, and the game was a Blackhawks Penguins game that was taking place.
I think so,
I
but
think so. Yeah.
they
They
made it
considered it as a Stanley Cup final. I know.
and
Yep.
the Cup final,
Yep.
and but at the same time, I think that some of the goals that were scored were actually scored later.
Yeah.
Right? Like they filmed the game, and then they came back later when like the next day.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks stayed, and then they refilmed some of the sequences and put them in with the audience there.
Yeah.
So because I know that game, the game that they actually used wasn't a 6-5 game, wasn't a sudden death overtime game. So they had to add some of that, right? I don't know who Boston's announcer was. I don't remember. I'd have to remember that.
Oh, God,
right?
I don't like Boston's announcer. That's.
I was just going to say I can't remember who he was.
Jack
But man,
Edwards.
these guys they got now.
Jack Edwards.
When you start saying when Brad Marchand goes up and bites somebody, and then you say it was a good play, or there's nothing wrong with that, or it's a hockey play, I lose a lot of respect for you.
Yeah, Jack Edwards. That guy shows the homer card so much.
Terrible.
I cannot listen to it. Pat Foley, yeah, he does his homer parts of the games, but
they all do.
They all do. But the way you do it should be respectable. Jack Edwards is no way in hell a respectable play-by-play announcer.
No, if I listen to him do the Boston game, I feel like I got to go and take a shower afterwards because I feel dirty.
The Boston game, I'm actually going to watch the other broadcasts.
I
one time I watched a Boston versus Montreal game, and the only broadcast I could watch was the French broadcast. I put it on the French broadcast.
Okay. Just letting Jason know, Twist is coming on Thursday. Twist is on Thursday. That's gonna be a good one. I think
at 8:00 Central.
8:00 Central time. Yep, Central Daylight Time. I'm looking forward to it. Right. I talked to Tony when I was in St. Louis, and we were going to do some things. I sent him that picture that I put up. I'd seen somebody put it on one of the groups. I copied it. I sent it to him, and then we started talking. I was like, "Hey, man, are you still willing to come on the show?" And then he calls me. He says, "Of course I am. When are we going to do this? How do we do it?" Getting on me. So me and Ashley are going to interview him on Thursday. I'd say an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how he is. What was your question, Chris? I think I missed something from somebody. Matt Lowe, did Jack I don't know, did Jack Buck do Blues games? I don't think he did.
You know what? I think he may have been a guest on a game for a couple times. Because if I remember correctly, when he passed away, they were reading his resume, and I could have swore they said he had been on a couple of Blues broadcasts, but I might be wrong.
Okay, he may have been a guest. I could see that, right? Maybe a few on Fox. Yeah, I could see that. Some playoff games, because I know he did stuff like that. But Jack Buck to me is Jack Buck and Harry Carey. I know Harry is more synonymous with Cubs baseball, but what those two did, not only that, the Jack Buck learned from Harry Carey, right?
Yeah. And you know what? If it wasn't for Harry Carey's, let's say, after hours stuff, Jack Buck and Harry Carey would have been together for a long time.
But the fact that Harry Carey, first of all, Harry Carey did something really neat, I think. First of all, he gets fired and he drinks Miller product, right, in front of the TV cameras in St. Louis, which is no. And then he goes to your rival and tells them, I think the first year he was with there, he earned like next to nothing.
Well, the first year he went to Chicago, he was actually with the White Sox.
Yeah.
White Sox.
No one remembers he was a White Sox broadcaster. And he came to Cubs. It worked out perfectly as a Cub broadcaster because he would get drunk in the bleachers calling games.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he was You know,
He was a bleacher bum.
Yeah, but the thing is, by the sixth inning, he was out of it, man.
My dad told me a story where he was watching the game, and it was Ryan Sandberg at bat, and the pitch hasn't been even thrown, and Harry Carey was calling a home run.
Yeah, I used to love to listen to him and Steve Stone when they broadcast together. Yeah. They were good together.
Yeah. I cannot think of his name now. The guy that played Harry Doyle. He was a catcher for the Cardinals. He was the his name's sitting on there. He was the announcer. He's in the Hall of Bob Uecker. Bob Uecker. Bob Uecker used Harry Carey as his inspiration for Major League to be that guy. Right? So I mean, that just goes to show you what Harry Carey meant to all of those guys, right? I mean
there's some people who do well, in Chicago every year there's always a Harry Carey day in Chicago, and Pat Foley always shows up with big glasses, basically his own impression of Harry Carey. Pat Foley and Harry Carey are synonymous in Chicago for broadcasting. In my opinion, Chicago has some of the best play-by-play voices in all of sports history, and it's going to suck next year knowing it's not going to be Pat Foley on the call. I already know who the play-by-play guy is. They announced him last night, and I have not cared for his games that he's called this year.
Yeah. You know, I like Joey Vitale and Kelly, but you know, they're good, but it's just not a Chris Kerber.
No. You know, well, my issue with Joey Vitale is he's to be that job. You need to be very fan friendly and fan forward.
He's not,
and he's not. He's not. He's not on any social media. He's very private. He's very protective of his family, and I understand that.
Yeah,
I understand that. However, you have a job where you can't be that.
Well, you know what? 30 years ago you could, but now you can't.
Yeah, now you can't. But you know, it is what it is, and you deal with it as best you can. Right? Well,
I was going to ask Wendy one more thing. How is Eddie Olczyk's health doing? Has he had any remission or is he doing okay? Or
there was a weird thing in the middle of this season where we're playing the Wild. He had to go to the hospital, but it was some flu issue. So his son took over to be the color analyst. Nick Olczyk sounded like his dad. I honestly didn't even realize it was Pat Foley and Nick Olczyk calling the game until Pat said, "Oh yeah, Nick is here," instead of Edzo. And the next day we found out Edzo ended up in the hospital, where both the Wild and Blackhawks doctors stayed back and basically tried to figure out what happened, and he's been fine ever since. He hasn't had any health scares since. Right now, we're worried about the Blackhawks have Troy Murray, who's the color analyst on WGN radio for the Hawks, and he's currently battling cancer. And he's been calling a few games this year, I've noticed.
So that's good.
I'm hoping Troy's on his way to recovery, because Troy Murray and John Weideman are a great pair. I would have wished that could have been a thing for the TV broadcast, but it didn't work out that way. But Troy Murray seems like he's doing okay enough to call games during the season. Edzo, he seems like he's doing a lot better, though. Yeah, I haven't heard anything where he's had any
that's good
relapses of it coming back.
That's good.
Okay, so we're just about out. So one thing, Mike, I heard today, Mike Bossy unfortunately has admitted himself to home care and has decided to no longer treat his cancer. You know, our thoughts and prayers with him and his family and his fans. Bossy's one of the good guys in hockey. I mean, I remember him so much. So Our thoughts and prayers go out to all those guys, and our thoughts and prayers go out to each and every one of you for all you do every day. You got to know that we here at the Blue Note Fan Report absolutely love and appreciate each and every one of you. Right? Maddie, give me a message later and we'll talk about what you were talking about. We'll try and set something up. Don't forget, Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. The man, the hands of steel, Tony Twist. Talk about the perfect hockey name. Twister, right, is going to be on the show. He's going to take your questions. Come on. And you guys are intelligent. Even Alex said that the other day when he was on the show with, I forget what team we played, with Calgary. Was that Edmonton? Yeah, with Edmonton. Yeah, it was Edmonton. Yep. With Edmonton, and he loved it, did a great job. You guys do a great job. Can't wait to see you all tomorrow night on the Blue Note Fan Report. This is Guy for Windy City Hockey and Lance the Drop Hockey to Scott, saying aloha, mahalo, and we'll see you all on the next Blue Note Fan Report. Aloha.